From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good Thursday morning. It's 5:30. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you so much for starting your day with us.
Man, I'm Ed McIntosh. Got a busy morning, and it's going to be busy all the way through the weekend as far as the weather goes, because we've got wind, and then we got...
I'm pointing at you because I bought my daughter snow boots yesterday because of what you are saying. So, gave an excuse for a fun shopping trip, but Ed says the snow word, and I go to the store.
And we're looking at a return on investment.
Yes, all worth it.
Let's take a look with the First Interstate iCam. We're not looking like a lot of snow piling up, but we're looking at an extended period of snowy weather. So we're going to have that cold, wet kind of snow. We likely will see some, especially into the grassy areas, even by early Saturday into the Saturday afternoon, and then continue to see some periods after that. 36 at the Billings Airport right now, and if you want to put those snow boots to use, just drive on over to Butte, because there's a picture from what's going on over there right now as they're continuing to, at least some light snow. You can see the roadways look more wet and slick than anything else. Temperatures this morning are in the 20s and 30s across the state. A little bit warmer with the Billings reading at 36 and 38 in Livingston. 31 now in Cody, Sheridan, and Miles City, plus Glendive. 37 in Moreland, and a mix of 20s and 30s, low 30s along the High Line. The winds aren't a big deal right now, and it's going to get a little breezy as we get later in the afternoon. Yesterday was another day of 50-plus mile-per-hour wind gusts. I did see a report of about 63 miles an hour just outside of Big Timber. And then we've got a few showers that are streaking across the eastern plains here this morning. And that could mean some pops of a little bit heavier moisture as well. 20s and 30s as we get started in southern Montana and northern Wyoming. For the Billings area, we're looking at temperatures today to warm up into the upper 40s to about 50. A little breezy, maybe a sprinkle or a shower along the way. But big changes over the weekend. I'll talk about that coming up.
Big changes. All right. Sounds good. Looking forward to hearing all about it. In the meantime, I'll get to the news. Thanks, Ed.
Okay, thanks.
We begin this morning with the latest on what has become a busy week for Billings law enforcement. Another shooting here in town has a man recovering in the hospital this morning. The 45-year-old was shot inside a Southside home on the 4100 block of Ryan Avenue. So far we know the victim did not live at the home. Police do have a suspect, but at this time, no arrests have been made. Another victim is recovering this morning after being stabbed in North Park. Police arrested a juvenile for the crime. It happened yesterday afternoon. Police say the suspect tried to flee the scene, but was taken into custody after a short chase on foot. Police say the stabbing victim suffered non-life-threatening injuries. And we now know the name of the man who was shot and killed by police after pulling a gun on them earlier this week. 29-year-old Cole Stump of Box Elder died from multiple gunshot wounds. Police are still investigating the incident. Officers Ryland Nelson and Justin Bickford both fired shots at Stump. They are currently on administrative leave. In campaign news, a new poll from Montana State University is providing a snapshot of just how close Montana's top races really are. In the race for the Senate, Democrat to Governor Steve Bullock leads incumbent Republican Steve Daines 49 to 47%. Republican Greg Gianforte holds a 5-point lead over Democrat Mike Cooney in the race for governor. Just 2 points separate, the candidates in the U.S. House race, Republican State Auditor Matt Rosendale is holding off Democrat Kathleen Williams 48 to 46%. Finally, President Trump is ahead of Democrat Joe Biden by 7 points. In other news, people who refuse to wear masks inside Yellowstone County businesses could soon face stricter punishments. County leaders met with the governor's legal team yesterday. They suggested violators be prosecuted in civil court and fined up to $200. The attorneys also said federal funding is available for businesses to hire people to enforce the restrictions. County Attorney Scott Twido said his office has received thousands of complaints and something needs to be done.
If you're running a business and you have a patron coming in that is not wearing a mask and they refuse to comply with putting on a mask, which is required under the directive, we tried to take that off of you. That both the chief and the sheriff said you can immediately call them and they will send someone down to deal with that person and issue a trespassing violation to make sure you're in compliance.
The county's current health order is in effect through midnight on November 9th. And county health leaders are walking back restrictions on places of worship. They will now be able to match restaurant capacity and have 75% of their congregation in the building at a single time. The original directive allowed just 50%. There are just 19 days until Election Day, and Senate Republicans are moving quickly to confirm Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court by then. This as President Trump continues to hold rallies across the country, visiting Iowa last night, despite fears over a surging coronavirus there. CBS's Laura Podesta reports.
Senator Blumenthal, I can't give a yes or a no.
Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett sidestepped some questions from Democrats for the second day in a row on Wednesday.
You think it's wrong to separate children from their parents to deter immigrants from coming to the United States?
A matter of hot political debate in which I can't express a view.
Do you believe that climate change is happening and is threatening the air we breathe?
I will not express a view on a matter of public policy.
Republicans offered her their full support as they look to create a 6-3 conservative majority on the court.
I have never been more proud of a nominee than I am of you.
There's nothing wrong with confirming to the Supreme Court of the United States a devout Catholic pro-life Christian.
A committee vote to send Barrett's confirmation to the full Senate is scheduled for today, though Democrats want to push it to next week in order to delay her confirmation as long as possible.
We made the right choice, right, with Amy.
President Trump held a rally last night in Iowa, where our CBS News Battleground tracker shows he's tied with former Vice President Joe Biden.
Get the hell out to vote, because if I don't get Iowa, I won't believe that one.
The trip drew criticism due to a recent surge of coronavirus cases and hospitalizations.
To hold a rally is beyond selfish when you're putting that many lives at risk.
The second presidential debate was scheduled for tonight, but was canceled after the president tested positive for COVID-19 and then refused to debate Biden virtually. Laura Podesta, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Both candidates will instead hold separate competing town halls tonight. The U.S. Postal Service has agreed to reverse all the changes it made this summer that created widespread backlash. It's the result of a lawsuit filed by Governor Steve Bullock against the Postmaster General. The settlement applies nationwide. Post offices will restore retail hours that were cut back, reopen mail processing facilities that were closed, and bring back collection boxes and sorting machines. The agreement also requires the Postal Service to prioritize election mail. Weather is spelling more trouble for wildfires in the West. Colorado is now dealing with a new fire that is the largest in state history. The Cameron Peak fire grew by 20,000 acres yesterday after 60-mile-an-hour winds fanned the flames. It breaks the record of the Pine Gulch fire that started just last month. Meanwhile, California is in the middle of a fall heat wave, and that's creating another round of extreme wildfire danger. The National Weather Service has issued heat advisories there through Friday. Back here in Montana, the Bridger Foothills fire is now 100% contained. The 8,200-acre fire destroyed more than 20 homes about 3 miles northeast of Bozeman. Officials say the flames aren't completely out, but it won't spread any further. Recent cooler temperatures in the area helped firefighters get to that point earlier this week. Officials determined the fire was caused by lightning. After being furloughed from her job due to COVID-19, a Montana artist has taken her passion for painting and turned it into a full-time job. MTN's Jessica Nelson brings us her story.
In this era of COVID, we're all a little isolated, and that's kind of how I've been with doing this and raising my kids. So I've kind of always had a little level of that, and that's kind of how Van Gogh felt. I mean, he was very lonely in isolation.
Jessie Wise grew up in Helena and began painting when she was a young teen. She used painting as an avenue to handle stress in her life, and she found inspiration in Vincent van Gogh.
More in my adult life, I would say. He's become more relevant, and I've related to him on a lot of levels. And it's just such a sad story, but you know, it's history, and it's beautiful that everyone can come together recognizing this image, people who don't know, you know, and it's exciting because that's what he would have wanted.
When the coronavirus pandemic hit, Jessie was furloughed from her job. She went through a difficult divorce, and despite her family asking her to leave her art behind, she pressed on.
These helped me get through that big time. You know, I've never left my town, so it's it's a blessing and a curse sometimes, but it's home and I don't ever want to leave. So this was my way of just paying homage to that. And I didn't know if anyone would ever want to see them or anything like that.
But people not only wanted to see her renditions of Starry Night, now her paintings are in such high demand, she paints full time and even has a waiting list of customers wanting to own her paintings.
People just started eating them up and they're like, I want a copy of that. I'm like, sweet. So I started ordering prints and it just kind of snowballed from there. Each painting that I release, like the cathedral, it's just been huge.
Jessie has sold more than 100 copies of her Helena renditions of Starry Night. She plans on having 12 total paintings in the series, but each painting takes several months to complete.
Well, these first 3 took me over a year combined, so they take a few months minimum each.
Her 5th piece in the series is The Sleeping Giant, and she's still adding the final touches to that painting. Jessie still can't believe how far her art has taken her, and she's sure Vincent would be proud.
This is just opened so many doors. I've met so many new people and heard so many stories, and I just think that he would love what's come out of this.
In Helena, Jessica Nelson, MTN News.